Last week I asked you to notice, and now here we are. I'm so glad you guys made it to week 2. I know some of you did the work. Some of you sat with yourself last week and felt things you have been moving too fast to feel in a long time. And if you did that, if you actually stopped and noticed, I want you to ask yourself something. What did that feel like? Because for me, noticing feels like a awakening, like, damn. Is this really what is happening inside of the world? Is this really what's been going on this whole time? Like, is this really what I have not been paying attention to for so long? I felt like I was putting on glasses for the first time, like seeing life for the first time with clear eyes, like ripping a band-aid off of something that needed air. Like things are about to change because you cannot unsee what you have seen. And I want you to understand that noticing is not enough on its own. You can see something clearly and still not know what to do with it. You can feel the weight of something and still not be able to talk about it. You can recognize a wound and still keep calling it something else because you do not have that language yet. And that is okay. That is exactly where week 2 comes in. We're not just seeing it anymore. We're going to speak on it. We're going to talk about it, calling it by its real name without trying to change or redirect the impact of it, without trying to explain it away, without making it more comfortable for the people around us who are not ready to hear it. Naming is where the healing actually begins because you cannot treat what you refuse to call by its name. So what is the real name for what have been done to the Black community this whole entire time? I want you to give it a word, and I want to give you a word that I have been learning that I feel like describes it more accurately than most people use. And I hope I'm saying this word right. DARVO is D-A-R-V-O. I hope I'm saying it right. It means denied, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And that is exactly what has been done to us. The Black community has been gaslit into thinking that we are the problem when we were never the problem. We never created the problem in the first place. But through systems, through generations of calculated messaging, through every institution that had a hand in shaping how the world sees us, they made the world believe that Black people were the problem. And then they made us believe it too. That is not some kind of accident. That is a strategy. That is years and years and years of pouring into a way of thinking, into a way of programming, till the lie becomes so embedded that the people stop questioning it. And when you refuse to call it by its name, when you keep trying to change the language or make it more easier to take, it costs us everything. It keeps us stuck in blindness. It keeps us dumb, deaf, and blind to what the truth actually is. It keeps us accepting a version of life that was handed to us as if it was the only version available. Sometimes ignorance is super bliss. And I can say that for sure because I have lived it. I often wonder, like, who would I be if I went back to not knowing the things I know now? And that's something that always come up for me. Like, who would I be if I had never evolved like my level of thinking? Because awareness is here right now. And awareness has created room for me to even think about what it would feel like to still be living in that blissful ignorance. Awareness created room, and that room creates room for more room and more truth and more of something different than what has been given. You cannot call a thing by a more, I hope I'm saying this word right too. I be feeling like I be fucking up my words. A more palatable name and expect to heal from it. A more softer name, a more easier to digest name. You have to call it what it is. You have to face the person in the mirror regardless of what that person looks like. Because we have not just been mislabeling what the world did to us. We have been mislabeling what it created inside of us. The internal dialogue is the biggest thing I talk about more than anything else. Your internal sense of self is the most important because your inner world reflects to your outer world. And your outer world is going to agree with whatever your inner world feels. So if you're going around saying, I'm just this ugly, terrible person, I'm so broke, your outer world is going to reflect that in so many different ways, in so many different lessons, in so many different people. I am unlovable. So your outer world will go like, she is right. We have to make sure she's right. We have to let her know that we're always on her side. Let's match what that internal sense of self is saying. So it's going to give you situations where you are shown that one specific belief or thought is correct. That's why people say, be careful what you say to yourself. Be careful what you say about yourself, because it plays a huge part. When your internal world is in turmoil, when it is fighting with itself, everything inside comes outside. The mirror always reflects. It's also called the mirror principle. I think y'all should go look it up. The world made us believe that when a black person feels something, when a black person grieves, when their emotions are loud and outspoken, that they are aggressive, that they are causing a problem, that they are being too much. They made our emotions feel so invalid that black people are only supposed to be one thing: strong, resilient, unbreakable. We know about the strong black woman trope, but black men carry it just as much. Happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month as well. The strong black man who is not supposed to feel, who is not supposed to grieve, who is not supposed to break down, because if he does, suddenly he is less than a man. Suddenly he is weak. Suddenly he is something other than what a black man is supposed to be. And if feeling makes you less than, as if feeling makes you less than, as if emotions is something to be ashamed of. We called depression just life for years, just the highs and lows. You know, you go through some shit, you get through some shit. We call anxiety being dramatic, not having a good handle on ourselves. I know for a long time, I used to be so hard on myself when I had anxiety, like getting a handle on you. Like where you going? Like you can't, what am I doing? You can't just be sitting here having these breakdown moments. Like get yourself together. We called grief just moving on. We called hypervigilance being security minded. We called emotional unavailability being nonchalant. Because a lot of people be like, oh, I'm just nonchalant. No, you need to heal. We called survival just being strong, being resilient, being the warrior who shows up no matter what is happening. And we pass all of those mislabeled things down to our children and told them to carry them the same way without ever giving them the words. But what does it feel like to finally give something its real name after carrying it? Mislabeling it for years. It feels like seeing yourself for the first time, being able to say my depression is depression, and that is valid. My anger is anger. That is valid. My anger from years of systematic oppression, from years of generational trauma, for years of deliberate dismantling of the black family is the most valid thing I have ever fucking felt in my life. Being able to call my grief what it actually is. Being able to call my rage what it actually is. This is not a disorder. This is not a character flaw. This is nothing. There is nothing wrong with me. This is not something to be fixed or medicated into silence. This is a real and human response to a real and inhuman set of circumstances. That is what naming does. It gives you back your own experience. It lets you be the authority on your own life instead of letting the system that was never designed for your healing to tell what your pain means. I want you to really think about, what does a black man looks like? What is he supposed to feel? What is he allowed to need? What does a black woman looks like? What is she supposed to carry? What is she allowed to put down? What does she look like when she is not holding up the mirror that tells her who she needs to be? Underneath all of that, I want to ask you something else. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you are not performing for your family, your friends, for your partners? when you're not holding it together for your community, not being what the world decided you were supposed to be. Who are you when you're quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when the roles fall away and it's just you alone with yourself? Because that person, that version of you that exists before the script kicks in, that is the one we are trying to come home to. And most of us have not met that person yet, because the script starts so early and runs so deep that we forget there was ever anything underneath. These are not just personal questions about who you see when you look in the mirror. These are generational scripts that were written by a system that needed us to function in a specific way and handed down through families who were just trying to survive. The cycle of emotional suppression, the cycle of hyper independence, because asking for help was never safe. That is something I struggle with, is depending on people. It is very hard. So in turn, it made me avoid it in a lot of situations. Like, I'm just going to depend on myself. I'm just going to avoid this anyways. This is a cycle of distrust, because trust has been broken at every institutional level for hundreds and hundreds of years. The cycle of scarcity thinking there was never enough. So you hold on, so you hold what you have and you do not share it, and you compete for crumbs instead of building tables together. That is a problem within the Black community. Everybody wants to gatekeep and hold the secrets to success, but we're not willing to pour into each other. It's I want to say like a cash grab. Like, this is me, this is mine. It's like, I'm not sharing. But don't you know that strength comes in numbers, and the unity of the Black community is more powerful than an atomic bomb. And I want you to sit with that for a little bit. One small thought connected with another small thought creates an even larger thought. And in that larger thought, it lives in a movement, a revolution, a pocket for change. This is what we are building when we break these cycles, one named thing at a time. That is what we're building when we break these cycles. Naming one thing at a time, the cycle of the absent father. And I want to be very clear about this one. Not as a moral failure, but as a predictable outcome of a system that has spent generations removing Black men from their families through slavery, through mass incarceration, through economic exclusion. The absence was engineered, and the wound is left traveled through every generation that ever came after it. Nothing that was passed down to you makes you a failure ever in life. I don't even believe in failure the way the world defines it. If you try something and it did not work out for you, you are not a failure. You are someone who learned what does and does not work for you. And that is success. The cycles we are carrying are not proof of our weakness. They are proof of how long we have been surviving inside a system that was never built for our thriving. The difference between calling something a personal failure and calling it an inherited wound is everything. One puts blame inside of you, the other puts blame where it actually belongs, in the history, in the structure, in the system that created the conditions you were born into. And once you can see it as an inherited wound, you can make a different choice. You can decide that a cycle stops here with you, in your body, in your household, in your mind, in the way you see the world, in the end, and what you pass down next. Be the change you want to see in the world. Last week, I talked about how this generation is fearless and powerful and living in a cage that was never built to hold them. Some of them are really bad as shit. But this week, I want to talk about what has been named over them that is simply not true. They have been named problems. They have been called lazy. They have been made out to be disrespectful. They have been named lost causes. They have been labeled with disorders and diagnoses and statistics that were designed to manage them, not develop them. The school to prison pipeline has a name for them before they are old enough to name it themselves. And it becomes dangerous because some of them are actually starting to answer to it, starting to live inside the label because no one has gave them something else to answer to. Because when the only mirror you have been handed shows you a distorted perception of yourself, eventually you start to believe that that is what you look like. So we have to start naming something different over them. We have to look at this generation and call them what they actually are. These kids, though I do believe some of them are bad, I'm not going to let that go. I'm never going to let that go. Some of them need their ass whooped. Some of them are just powerful, spiritual, potent beings built for a world we have not fully imagined yet. Fearless in ways that previous generations were conditioned out of. Carriers of something the world has been trying to suppress because it knows what it could become if it ever got the right container. That is what we name over them. Not what the system decided they were, what we know them to be. I want to end this video with something I've been seeing in my mind's eye. There's a figure I keep coming back to, like hanging upside down, suspended still, and from the outside it looks like it's defeated. It looks like it's been broken down. It looks like it's been stuck. It looks like nothing is happening, but that is not what is happening. That suspension, that stillness, that willingness to stop everything just to hang in discomfort of truth before moving forward, that is one of the most powerful things a person can do. When you flip your perspective, when you stop moving long enough to see your life from a completely different angle than the one survival gave you, everything begins to look different. The thing you thought was holding you back becomes a thing that is teaching you. The wound you thought was your weakness becomes the place your wisdom is growing from. Naming requires that kind of stillness. It requires you to stop long enough to look at something clearly before you decide what to call it. And what becomes possible when you are willing to do that, when you are willing to hang in the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, is a perspective you simply cannot access when you are running. So this week, after you name it, I want you to sit in it for a moment, let the name land, let it breathe. Do not fix it or fight against it or explain it away. Just let it be what it is and call it what it is. That is where everything begins to shift. I want to do one somatic closing before I end this video as well. I want you to feel something before this video ends. Think about something you have been calling by the wrong name for a long time. I did not know I was depressed. I did not know what anxiety was. I just thought something was deeply wrong with me. I thought like I was completely like losing myself, but I was not. I was just someone who had never been given the right language for what I was actually experiencing. Think about something you have been calling the wrong name, something you have been afraid to say out loud, something you have been softening or mislabeling or avoiding because the real name feels too fucking real. I want you to say it by its real name. I want you to say it out loud. Even if you whisper it to yourself, say it. If you need to just say it in your internal mind, whatever, that is fine if that's all you can do today. Feel what happens in your body when you say it. Feel what happens in your throat. Feel what happens in your chest, because the body knows when something is true. Sometimes when I'm afraid to label something and I finally like say it out loud, it feels like I'm fighting against myself. I'm feeling like I'm at war with my throat. Like my body is saying, oh, did you really just say that? Like, are you fucking serious? Did you really just acknowledge this one thing about yourself? It responds to truth differently than it responds to the version we perform for survival. Now, I want you to put your hands on your throat and breathe. And breathe. Hold 1, 2, 3, and then breathe out slowly 1, 2, 3. Again, so I'm just demonstrating because I've been learning about like somatic techniques to help. I do tapping too, like more so like tapping. So breathe in 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 on the exhale. Your voice is not a threat. Your truth is not dangerous. The things you have been holding silently in your body, in your mind, in your throat, and whatever part of you. It deserves to be spoken. You deserve to hear yourself say the thing you have been afraid to say. That is the practice this week. Naming one thing every day that you have been calling by the wrong name, whether it's an emotion, an experience, a wound, a history, your power. Give it a real name, even just to yourself, even if you're just saying it in your mind, even if it's just one word, because the moment you name it correctly, it stops having power over you and starts giving power back to you. So come back next week. We're going to nurture it together. And before you go, I have a 7-day journal guide that goes along with this video. It is called Name It, and it lives over on my Gumroad account. The link is in the description. It's a 7 days of prompts to help you practice naming what you've been carrying in your own time, in your own words, at your own pace. Grab it and do the work. Come back next week. We're going to nurture it together. Ciao.